On May 14, 1999, U.S. President Bill Clinton telephones Chinese President Jiang Zemin to apologize. But what was the reason for Clinton's apology? And how was NATO involved? In 1949, the US, Canada, and 10 European nations formed the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO, as a safeguard against Soviet aggression during the Cold War. The alliance has since grown from its original 12 members to 32 nations today. With the end of the Cold War, NATO was reconceived as a cooperative security organization with two main objectives. First, to foster dialogue and cooperation with former Cold War adversaries, and second, to manage conflicts in and around Europe. This retooled post-Cold War NATO could thereby use military action for peacekeeping missions in locations like the volatile Balkan Peninsula, where Yugoslavia was located. In 1999, NATO launched Operation Allied Force, a 78-day aerial bombing campaign against Yugoslavia, with the goal of halting the ethnic cleansing of Albanians in Kosovo by Serbian forces. At the time, Yugoslavia was led by corrupt Serbian President Slobodan Milošević, who would later be tried for war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. On May 7th, as part of this NATO mission, a U.S. Air Force B-2 Spirit bomber mistakenly struck the Chinese embassy in Belgrade, Yugoslavia. 3 Chinese journalists were killed in the attack. 6 days after the bombing, Clinton issued his apology and promised an official investigation into the incident. The U.S. maintained that the CIA had identified the wrong coordinates for a Yugoslav military target on the same street, and agreed to compensate the families of the victims. Months later, a joint investigation by British and Danish newspapers revealed that anonymous sources had claimed that the bombing had actually been deliberate, since the Chinese embassy was being used to transmit Yugoslav military communications. Both the US and the UK emphatically refuted those claims, and a New York Times investigation was unable to find evidence to support the claims of a deliberate attack. Here are other events that happened today in history. In 1796, English country doctor Edward Jenner administers the world's first vaccination for smallpox. In 1804, the 28-month-long Lewis and Clark expedition begins, departing from St. Louis, Missouri. In 1904, the third modern Olympics open in St. Louis, Missouri, making them the first held in the U.S. In 1944, Star Wars creator George Lucas is born George Walton Lucas Jr. in Modesto, California. In 1948, 6 months after the UN agreed to partition Palestine, the State of Israel is proclaimed. In 1955, the Warsaw Pact is signed by communist nations in Eastern Europe as a response to NATO. In 1998, after 9 seasons, the controversial final episode of the popular sitcom Seinfeld airs on NBC. And now it's time for our Today in History quiz. Who holds the record for the most no-hitters in Major League Baseball history? Cy Young, Nolan Ryan, Bob Feller, or Sandy Koufax? Liked learning about the NATO bombing of the Chinese embassy? Then you'll love this one about NATO's first ever military action. Tap the screen to keep the story going on Today in History.